Hail and Merry meet everybody. This is Michelle Marie Tony, North American Snow Queen, and welcoming you to the North American Snow Queen channel. The North American Snow Queen channel is a little different than the other two major channels that I do, because this one is going to be focusing on discussing what I do as the North American Snow Queen. Now, I have been the North American Snow Queen officially since December 21st, 2011. I was appointed to the role by Mother God, who acted as the officiator. Lumianne Finestra is my liege, which means my partner, because we are married to each other. In all the years I have been the North American Snow Queen, one of the things that has happened to get really confusing for so many people is the fact that my channel seems to be kind of all over the place. Like driving on an icy road covered with black ice. Without proper tires on your vehicle, you're likely to slide off into the shoulder of the road, or worse, hit a pole, which would suck. So, I wanted to create a new channel specific to this workings. What I do is a weather sorceress. There is, in each region of the world, which is subdivided into 7 regions, officially 4 weather stewards or stewardesses each. They have been selected by Father and Mother God based on the merits and skills. I was the very first one appointed, as I said, because Mother God felt that I was the most ready to do the role. I have been very, very deeply dedicated to my work ever since. I love what I do. I love winter. I love snow. I love the ice. I love the cold. But there's also the warm things in winter I love too. I love Christmas. I love New Year's. I love my birthday, February 11th. I say it's Lemmy's birthday. Mine's the 13th. That gets confusing sometimes. Lemmy's is February 11th. Mine is February 13th. I love Valentine's Day. I even love Ash Wednesday. All these holidays occurs during the most magical time of year. It's a beautiful time. It's a time of new hope and new beginning. I've covered that many times in my convocation, that we're entering a time of new hope and a new beginning, of the gestation period of the new Earth cycle. Now, for example, if you know anything about the Earth stages, you got the fetus, the little girl, which is spring, the little girl becoming an adult woman, which is summer, the old mother, which is the crone, which is autumn, and of course we're back to winter again. So during my season, it's a time of great hope, when we hope that the upcoming year is going to be a good year. And that makes it very special, because it's absolutely important to me. I cannot stress it enough that winter is so special to my heart and to my spirit. Um, Unfortunately, I do know that some people do not like winter for reasons that they have a hard time with the cold, they have a hard time with the snow. Uh, Unfortunately, a lot of family members um, have died during the winter months. Loved ones, you're not alone. I've lost a few loved ones too during winter time. But you know that the thing is what I love most about winter is all the Christmas movies. Um, there's something special about Christmas movies. Um, I know that some channels will play Christmas movies in the summer. I think Hallmark does, and I think a few others do too. I think Lifetime might also. I haven't had cable in a long time, so if I'm wrong, if they have not doing that anymore, I'm so sorry. Um, but the one thing that I miss ever so much is my family. Um, but it's kind of a mixed thing because my mother and I have tried to negotiate and work things out between us. The only thing we could come up with was a stalemate, which is sad. Um, I miss my father because he was a very down to earth guy, and he was very special to me. And he taught me many great things. And I said, and then my late uncle, which is my father's brother, Arnie, really, really loved Christmas too. To him, Christmas was the most amazing time. He would have the great family gatherings, all the Delaney's would be packed into one big house. And we'd be having a Christmas Eve dinner and having a good time with relatives. And that always made an impact on me. In some ways, my channels, we tried to do the same thing. We tried to give the same sense of feeling. But it's not exactly perfect, but that's not the point of this discussion. The point of this discussion is to welcome you to this channel. Now, we do need to cover a couple of frequently asked questions that come up. Number one, at the time of recording this video, October 12th, 2019, several big snow systems are in effect right now in the Midwest of the United States. And I believe it's called Autumn Storm Aubrey. Now, Autumn Storm Aubrey has dumped an unprecedented amount of snow in the Midwest United States with very cold temperatures. But you're saying, wait a minute, it's not your season yet. I thought you did the snow. I do. But snow is not exclusive to my season. As I said, all the weather stewards and stewardesses have access to the resources that is at their disposal. All of them. Autumn sorceress, stewardess I think it's a steward actually. It's a steward. It's a steward has decided that he wants to get people aware of the grand solar minimum and has agreed to give some snow. Now, so that means, and then the next question comes up. Is it ethical? Yes. Do you work the same way? Honestly, I do not necessarily work the same way. I honestly prefer to work a very different way. And the way I do it is I consider the role of ready, which normal other sorcerers normally doesn't give any concern to the role of ready, because it usually, for them, the role ready to them is just a bunch of poppycock. All right, it normally doesn't mean anything to other sorcerers. But the rule of ready, the main part of the rule of ready that we're concerned with, do as ye will, but harm no one else. So modern English would be, do as you want, but do not harm other people. For what you do, 3 times will be given back to you. So in other words, if you do harm to somebody 3 times, you might not harm will return to you. Now, as I said, whether sorcerers and sorceresses are not necessarily tied to the rule of ready. They don't have to be. The difference is that some of us do have a feeling that the rule of ready is a good guideline to live by, and we prefer to focus on that and for doing the good things of the rule of ready. Now, does that mean that a wither sorcerer and sorceress can be a totally cruel, mean, unhappy, narcissistic brat and get away with it? Let me assure you that every wither sorceress does have a set of guidelines that we have to abide by. Number 1, when we were selected for our roles, we were selected on the grounds of the personality of the person, the nature of the person, the knowledge of the person, and the consciousness of the person, and the morals of the person. Mother God and Father God chose the people on a very, very exacting set of standards of what they expect of us. We all know these standards. Every wither sorcerer and sorceress knows these standards. Some of us call ourselves wither stewards and stewardesses. That's our official title. But let's be honest, we are all wither sorcerers and sorceresses and wither witches. We all are highly attuned to both the science and the mystical abilities. We are attuned to both. Of course, thanks to modern technology, a wither sorcerer or sorceress has access to modern maps, satellite imagery, temperature data, barometric pressure, wind speeds, information that makes it easier for them to plan their working. That's important because it also means that, hey, it doesn't matter if we screw up or not, because we have the ability. Pretty impressive, huh? We have these great abilities, and with modern sciences has made our workings a lot easier. Totally cool. Totally cool. You don't even have to even take a guess anymore. You don't have to read tea leaves. You don't have to do divination. Not that some people don't. I do some once in a while to help me along. But of course, we do consult with Mother and Father God. And we all know that while we are all independent of each other, that sometimes it does make sense when, for example, there is 3 winter weather stewards or stewardesses in the northern hemisphere. You have me, Frija Samuelson, and Tanaya Voskala, which is now married to her former boyfriend. So now she's actually married to him. He originally was going to be the steward for Russia, but he himself had basically been disqualified. So Tanaya, his girlfriend, was given the opportunity to become the winter weather sorceress of Eastern Europe and Russia. So she's, I work with both of them in some cases. Currently my territory at the time of recording this video is the United States, Canada, and Southwest Greenland, with one exception, Texas. Texas, I gave to the South American weather steward who maintains Texas. I don't maintain Texas. I gave that person that territory. However, me and Frija Samuelson are planning to make a land swap. From my area of Southwest Greenland, she, if Brexit passes, is giving me the United Kingdom and Ireland. Now, that's pretty cool, and there's a reason why. In order to be the North American Snow Queen, I would have to be living within my territory. But since the UK would become part of my territory, I could easily live in the UK and I would not have to abdicate my throne at all. That's a couple months, a couple years down the road. It's not happening right now. It's gonna be in a couple years at the earliest. No, so much season is from Yule to Ostara every year, better known as by most people's concepts of the beginning of winter to the beginning of spring in the secular calendar. Okay. Where do I currently live? I live in a small town in Winsted, Connecticut, in the Litchfield Hills. Now, this is a very small town of about population for downtown Winsted peak of about 4,000 to 6,000 people. In the outlying areas of Winsted, the population brings it up to about 12,000 people tops. I have been living in this current apartment for over 14 years. I moved here around 2005, 2006. I have been living here a very long time. I love the area because it's small, because I like small towns. And by the way, Winsted had a lot of famous people who used to live here. One of them was named Norman Rockwell. Norman Rockwell, who does the Rockwell paintings, lived on Main Street in Winsted, Connecticut. Another famous Winstonian is Ralph Nader. Now, Ralph Nader, as you know, is very much an advocate for public safety. Winsted is also now the only city in the United States that has a tort museum. For those of you who don't know what a tort is, it's a lawsuit, usually in relation to personal injury. So there's no museum, which is where you can go to learn about personal injury. Very interesting. There's also a documentary on me too called I Am Snow Queen, which I will eventually get the link up somehow. The problem is a lot of this stuff is on my other channel, and so to avoid giving myself a copyright infringement case, I know it's enough to make you glaze your eyes over. What do you mean copyright infringement if it's your content? YouTube's computer isn't too smart, so I'm not going to copy my stuff over from my other channel. Just to risk getting a copyright strike in case I sell. What I will do is working in the process of putting together a playlist, which will feature videos to my other channels, so you can go back to the other channels. Now, like I said, this channel here is specifically for my work as a North American Snow Queen. So you're not going to see a lot of content on here. But it doesn't mean that we don't want to have content. It means that this is for official business, if you will. Welcome to My World is more of an everyday channel where we're going to be covering everyday things. Currently, right now, I'm doing a video with Lumia on Lumi's channel. That content may eventually be moving to our Welcome to Our World channel. Me and Lumi have not decided yet. But we will be looking into new changes for the future. Lastly, I want to thank all of you who subscribed even when there was no content. I did not expect that. I really am thankful that you did subscribe. And I hope, now that you have something to watch at the very least, that you will take the time to comment on the content you see. And please do click the bell, because this is not going to be a major channel. Lots of activity going, at least not until Astara. So there'll be some things during those seasons. And so you're not going to get a ton of things in your mailboxes, but you might definitely want to subscribe, and so you can also receive any potential things that I posted in the discussion area. I do forget there is a discussion area on this where you can actually communicate with me. That's kind of something new. I never tried it. I saw it being used by Louis Ressman, and I have never tried it, but I'm going to give it a try and see how that works. We'll start with trying it on the Welcome to My World channel first. So, am I excited for this winter coming up? Yes, I am. Is this winter going to be nice and frosty? Oh, yeah. I promise you it will be. Is there anything that you should be doing to prepare? Number one, don't forget to put on your snow tires on your car. Okay? Number two, always make sure that you have emergency supplies on hand. If the power goes out, or if your phone service goes down, and the weather is totally impossible, you're going to want to have supplies. Okay? You might even want to consider having some emergency foods items in your car in case you ever get stuck out in the middle of a snowstorm. It is imperative that you have the needs and the supplies that you need on hand at all times. Sure, it is very easy to forget that winter can also kill you dead, just like that. Yes, it can, and it will, especially if you're not practicing some some common sense preparations at a time. Never leave your car in the middle of a snowstorm. Remember, it doesn't take very long before you can't find your car back. Never leave your car. Stay around your car. If you have the resources, keep blankets in your car. Keep a source of fuel in your car, extra gasoline in a gas can. Because if you're driving in the middle of nowhere and even if you don't get stranded and there's a power failure, you need to realize that you're not going to be able to get gas at a gas station that's not open because they don't have a generator. So yes, keep fuel on hand. Make sure your tires are in tip-top shape. And most important of all is remember that during a snowstorm, the most important thing you want to do is not to leave your vehicle, because as I said, you will potentially get disoriented and lose it because of the snow. Depending on the temperatures, you could be in deep trouble. Nothing will give you hypothermia faster than being covered with snow and dripping wet and strong winds. So yes, you do want to consider that, to have supplies on hand in your vehicle. If you have access to an inexpensive and safe to use heating source that you can use in your vehicle, please consider it. What I mean by that is, if you have access, say, like to a little camping propane heater, that would be better than no heat at all, and you will be able to keep warm in your car. Running your engine to heat your car is not necessarily effective, because the fuel that you're going to end up using is going to seriously be used to run an engine that's going to produce heat. That's true. But it's going to use a lot more fuel than an appropriately sized and safe little heater that you can use in your car. If you are in a camper van and you can do this, consider installing an independent heat source, such as a little diesel heater that is vented through the wall of your van. This will give you heat and will be vented properly from the outside air, which means your inside air will be nice and toasty, and it does use a little bit of current, but theoretically speaking, as long as you have a good sized battery bank, if we're talking about potentially for at least a few hours, you'll be pretty good. But what about at home? Nothing more says winter is out to kill you than having your roof collapse on your building because you didn't take the snow off it. This is most important, especially for flat roofs, that you need to make sure to remove the excess snow from the roof. Sure, it's pretty, it's nice, snow is beautiful, but unfortunately, depending on the moisture content of that snow, it can really, really put a lot of stress on your roof members. So you will need to keep an eye on how much snow is on your roof. Sidewalks. Please do shovel your sidewalks. I'm telling you this from personal experience, that there's nothing more frustrating, even for me, is when I have to walk on the streets of any city and have to jump into the roadway because the sidewalks are completely covered with snow. And a lot of times, the tenants in the building say, "Oh, that's the landlord's problem." Well, it depends on the city, because in some cities it says the tenants also need to pitch in. In cities that don't mandate that, please do, okay? Because I love winter, but I don't want to end up in the hospital with a broken neck, okay? That would suck. So I'm just asking you to make sure to keep your sidewalks clear so that people can get where they gotta go. In many cities, there are parking bans in the wintertime, and you should know your city's requirements of parking for wintertime, especially during a snowstorm. If your city allows you to park on the side of the street, but during a snowstorm says that you need to move the vehicles out of the way, Winston is of this class, where it used to be of the former situation which said during the winter time, actually they said from November until March, that's just like 4 months, 5 months out of the year, they said you could not park on the Winston highways or you will be towed. That was because they wanted to keep the roads clear so that the plows could get in to clear the road so people could go where they had to go. They changed the rule about 2 years ago to say now during a snowstorm you are forbidden from parking on the road so the plows can do their job. And then of course after the snowstorm, even if it is winter, you can park on the side of the road. I think that was made that way specifically so that the storefronts downtown, which had inadequate parking, could still have destination shopping, which does make some sense. Really, it does. And of course, dress warmly. Nothing is likely to kill you faster than frostbite and hypothermia, especially if you're not dressed appropriately for the winter season. Now I'm telling you this early because of what's going on with the weather in the Midwest. But if this was during a normal system, I wouldn't be giving this message out until November. So I'm giving it out a little early. But please do keep in mind what I'm saying. It's important. And also, keep yourself dry. Now, in the case of people wearing boots and socks, or even sneakers and socks, if your shoes get wet, there is nothing nice about getting frostbite on your toes. Please take them off and dry them out instead of walking around with wet footwear and wet socks. Wet socks can cause, as I said, hypothermia of the feet, frostbite, and frostnip. Please do change your socks, or at least dry the ones that you have on. And very last for this time, because it's certainly valid, heaters. There are so many people during the winter months, especially during a power failure, that do not know about proper safety about heating. So therefore, we're going to quickly talk about this. Number one, do not overload extension cords. Make sure that any heater, even if it's electric, is properly secured and is not likely to tip over. If it's a fuel-based heater, such as kerosene or propane, please make sure it is vented correctly and following the instructions. Carbon monoxide is a silent killer. You will die like a person in a gas chamber. It's the same gas used. Carbon monoxide, it actually causes your blood cells to die. It's a silent killer. It's an odorless, colorless gas. Okay? A carbon monoxide detector is a very, very strong recommendation. Please consider one. They're not that expensive. Also, make sure that your smoke detectors are working properly. Make sure to change the batteries at least twice a year. The very latest is when you start hearing go meep, meep, meep. That's when you should change them, but you can do it before then. 9-volt batteries are a good choice if that's what your smoke detector uses. If your smoke detector is one of the newer kind that uses a coin cell, check them and make sure to replace the battery and or the smoke detector at least as recommendations in the instructions. Depending on the lithium batteries, usually say about 5 to 10 years. Be safe so you don't have to be sorry. Alright? And lastly, but never the least, is please keep a working radio on hand to keep abreast of any emergency weather information. It is so important. Alright guys, I want to thank you for watching this introduction video. I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have about what I'm talking about. As I said, this channel will not be doing a lot of content, so don't think you're going to see a video from me on this channel every day. It probably won't be until at least maybe 5 to 6 times a year. So just be aware of that. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Have a nice time. Bye bye.